A really cool little package of a car. It's a car that requires a bit of an approach because obviously this is not going to be your family car, your holiday car, your highway sprinter, your traffic light beater. This is a compact little secondary car that you use for the school run, for groceries, for in and around town, taking your kids around, just getting out and about without it being expensive or overly powerful or anything crazy like that. But I think in a quite stylish looking package here in this little Kia. So obviously here inside the Kia Picanto there is not too much space because it's only 1.60 meters wide, but there's quite a lot to see. So let's do a little cockpit tour, starting with the driver view. So in front of me I got a nice digital driver display, fully adjustable obviously in terms of colors and whatever you want to put on there. So I can walk through my cruise control settings, my consumptions and all that. And navigation if I want to, so that's nice. The steering wheel, pretty simple, but very nice that it has extra real buttons. So on this side I got my cruise control and so on, and on this side I got my controls for the radio and my phone and my quick settings and so. So, nothing going wrong there. Actually quite nice to have it this way. No capacitive nonsense going on here at all, and no piano black in the entire interior, so that's good too. Pretty simple traditional stalks behind the steering wheel for your indicators and here for your wipers, so that is all well too. The view in the side mirror, they're small, it's a small car, so they shrink with scale, but fine enough to see there. Going down here to the side, you got traditional window controls and a button here for your mirror adjustments and some locking of your windows in case there's kids in the back. So nothing crazy, but nice and functional, so that is pretty good. Functional is what we'll find here in the screen too. Obviously this is not the last word in size and functionality, but it works really well. So this is your home screen. We got some maps going on. We can obviously do some navigation. There is radio, there is media, there is the setup of the whole car in the screen. So it is really all you need. And don't forget, this is not a car that you're going to be driving to ski holiday in. So this is a car for in and around town. Super functional, super nice as far as I'm concerned. It's clear. You can change the colors obviously if you want. Got some real buttons here on the side for volume and zooming and such. So, nothing going wrong here and very, very usable. Going down here, we got some manual adjustments for the airflow and ventilation, so that's good. We also got some manual adjustments here for the AC and for the temperature, with a little display in the middle showcasing what exactly you're doing, and a bunch of quick buttons here for demisting and so on. Going further down, we have a USB-A port, haven't seen those in a while, and we have USB-C port and a 12-volt connection here too, and then a storage bin down here for parking tickets and so on, and some cup holders here as well. Now this is the GT version, so we actually have some seat heating, steering wheel heating and auto hold going on here, so that's actually quite the luxury upgrade. And like I said before, the manual gearbox, and as you can see in the pedal box, we got 3 pedals with a clutch, so that is very exciting for the driving experience as well. Overall, I have to say there's nothing going wrong in here. I mean, obviously it's not a big car, but this is a perfectly fine cabin to work with and a perfectly fine cockpit to pilot this car from. I have great visibility all around. Obviously this is a car that you'll be driving in and around town most of the time, so visibility is key, but I have a clear view of where the car is, and because the car is so small, that makes it actually quite easy to place. So nothing going wrong there. And even when you look behind me, that's the rear view, and the car ends at the window, so that's also quite nice that when you're parking, when you're reversing into something, you do have a backup camera actually, but the window there is fine to see back, and that's where the car ends, so that makes it actually pretty easy to park that way as well. Obviously we got to have a look at the boot of the Kia Picanto, opening up here. 250 and a bit liters, so not the last word in space, and obviously it's a small car, but very, very usable. You can easily fit a bunch of hand luggage in here, tennis rackets, swimming equipment, what else. And it is very usable for the environment where you want to use this car. So, nothing crazy or nothing groundbreaking or anything, but very adequate. And obviously you can put the rear seats down as well, and then you have over 1,000 liters, and you can see how big the opening is. So I don't think you're going to use this to help anybody move, but it is certainly very capable of also moving some big things if you have to. Now obviously here in the back I'm going to be compromised in terms of space because it's a small car, but it's not as bad as you think. So looking here, I have about this much knee room, and I've put the passenger seat in the furthest possible position. So it's actually quite nice, and I have a lot of space for my feet underneath the chair as well. So that actually adds a lot of comfort into the mix. And even, I'll show you if I move all the way to the other side. So this chair is now in my driving position, and I'm 1.83 meters tall. And you can see, I mean, obviously I'm stuck here, right? So there's no room for me to move, but I fit behind myself as a 183 person. So that is actually quite impressive that Kia manages to use the space in such a way that I can physically fit back here. And obviously I'm not going to go on holiday like this or do any kind of long driving, but just, you know, across town or to the gym or something quick, no problem whatsoever. I got my own door, obviously, because it's a 4-door car, and it's a bit of a yoga exercise to get into position, but it fits. So that's actually rather impressive that in this tiny car, I can sit behind myself without too much of an issue. You know, in context, obviously, but it does fit, so that is actually pretty cool. It's a new day with a new shirt, as you can see, because obviously we got to do a little bit of driving in this Kia Picanto. Currently, we are on the highway, and you probably noticed that we're only doing one camera angle, because this car is so small that there's no real need for several camera angles. You can see me talking just fine. So when looking at the driving experience, I think it's similar as to look at the car as a whole. You have to see this car in the right context. Now, we're currently on the highway, and clearly this is not a highway cruiser. This is not something you're going to use for long distance traveling, certainly not something to move your family around to a holiday destination. But at most, you'll be driving between cities like I'm doing right now. So with 63 horsepower on tap, this is by no means any kind of race car, fast thing or whatever. That's just not happening. I'm currently in the middle lane of 3 on the highway, and that is about as far as you go. Because we're doing 110 now, if I put my foot full down, 8, 9, 12, 13, 15, nothing happens. So when you're driving this car, especially on the highway at speed, it's a matter of accepting that you're slow and learning how to deal with that. And on top of that, you feel small, especially next to trucks or big cars. You feel like you're in a small car. The car is close to you at all times, so there's no getting away from that either. But that said, the highway is not this car's natural environment. It's fine to go in between cities for a little bit. The journey today is just under 100 kilometers, and I'd say that's about as far as you'll take this car. Of course, technically speaking, it's all possible to drive further, but that's not what you buy this car for. Driving this in and around town, it's fantastic. It's a little happy car that's easy to maneuver because it's so small. It doesn't weigh anything because it's under 900 kilos, so it's easy to throw around. And overall, it's just a pleasant thing to drive around. You have great visibility all around. The panoramic roof, like I said, gives you a lot of extra light on the interior. And it's easy to place, easy to park. Obviously, you cannot comprehend how small this car is until you see it in a parking spot. There's just so much extra space left that there's basically no place where you cannot park this car. So it's amazing in an urban environment, and that's really what the car is for. And as long as you appreciate that, you take these highway minus points for granted and learn how to deal with those, all is well. And all is well can actually be said about the whole car. It's just a nice, complete package, this little car. It does everything you want it to do. Here inside, I'm comfortable. I have all the toys in the world that I might need with this GT version. And overall, it's pleasant. It does everything I ask it to do. I can drive my kids around, even with 2 in the back, no issues whatsoever. You know, it's not the last word in space and everything, but it's efficient and it's sufficient as well. So that is really, I think, all you can ask from a car like this. Because let's not forget that this car competes with the Volkswagen Ups and the Skoda Citigos and the Peugeot 107s and a whole bunch of other tiny, small cars. And they all offer similar proposition. Basic motoring, good transportation, cheap to buy, even cheaper to run, and still getting stuff done in and around town. So that's fantastic. And learning to drive with this little power and everything, in the city it doesn't really matter, but here on the highway requires a bit of sort of mental training that, you know, you're not going to be fast or anything, but that's fine. You'll learn how to deal with that pretty quickly. So at this point in the video, I'm usually looking for stuff to complain about, and there really isn't much to complain at all. You can always complain about the quality of the materials and the size of the boot and so on, but again, when you look at this car in the right context, it really does have everything. I wouldn't even go for this full GT version because I don't really think you need heated seats and a heated steering wheel in a car this size. Again, thinking about what you will use this car for, I think you can go slightly more basic, but yeah, it does everything well. It does everything I've asked it to do for the past week, and it's just, you know, a nice little happy car for around town. I like the way it looks. I think it looks very cool. I think the lights on the outside especially really bring out the character of the car. It looks, you know, by no means dangerous or menacing or any of those words, but it just looks cool. In here it is loud, there's no way around that. Obviously bigger cars have more sound insulation, double glass and all that. None of that is going on here, so, you know, doing 111 now, it is just loud in here. Also, again, making it, you know, not appropriate really for longer journeys. But yeah, that's, you know, those things just come with the territory of a small car, so they're not really faults or complaints or criticisms, I have to say. So I think Kia has built a cool little car. Obviously the Picanto is several generations in now, but this latest one I think just is nice, excellent, well done, in line with the whole Kia design language, and overall just a cool little car as long as you see it in the right context. So let me know in the comments if you would pick this Kia over like a Citroen C1 or a Volkswagen Up that I mentioned, or maybe a small Toyota. Which one is your favorite? Let me know, I'm interested. Personally, I would, based on looks, I would pick this one. I think the Up and the Citigo have their charm, but this one looks cooler. And I prefer this over a French proposition as well. That's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like it, and please give it a sub to the channel. That is something we can always use to grow further and bring you more car reviews. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.